From the far reaches of space to the darkest places on Earth, join us as we explore the haunted, the cryptid, the creepy, and more. Exposing Reality Radio presents the Spectral Wolfpack Show, your paranormal nightmare, with your host, Alexander Bobolinsky.
What is up, Wolfpack? We are here tonight. Got an awesome show lined up. And, I'm trying to think of what I was going to tell you guys. This weekend, I'm going to be up in Ohio filming. We're filming a little documentary, me and JP Doyle, Steve, I think his last name is pronounced Brott, and Keith Campbell. And so you guys won't be able to see much from that until that's done. But it is going to be coming out probably next year, hopefully. Keith Campbell's going to be doing the editing, and he does a really awesome job on that. So I'm excited for that. And then, of course, next month we got the Halesbar Dam event, December 16th. It's going to be a little Christmas event, so I'll be wearing my Christmas sweater because it's going to be cold, but it's going to be awesome. I got some friends from Chattanooga are coming, so definitely try to make that if you can. Today I put up some Bigfoot Bob video and also a little video about the UFO sightings in Ireland, including the audio from the pilots that actually saw it. So that one's pretty interesting. Anyway, our guest tonight, J.W. Prather. J.W. is not your typical equipment builder, though his equipment is experimental and meant for seasoned investigators that focus on data, research, and correlation among different techniques used in an investigation. JW is the creator of the IDC Intercom box, sometimes referred to as the J's box, as well as many more original designs. JW works closely with each individual client to ensure that each piece of equipment meets or exceeds their needs with innovative solutions. Through IDC Devices, he offers more than 67 devices and possible combinations for his boxes. JW is continuously developing and testing new paranormal investigation equipment to aid those researchers who want to take their research to the next level. And guys, I've been I actually ordered a Jay's box, and I've been talking to Jay a lot, and I gotta say I'm impressed with the way he does things. And so let's bring him in and see what we got to talk about. Jay, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing, Alex, bud?
Doing great, man. Glad to have you on. I've been excited to talk to you a little more.
I've been looking forward to it.
Because we talked that first night when I first messaged you about getting a box, and I was real impressed with the way you do things, and how open you were with just describing and explaining how everything worked, because there's a lot that goes into your boxes.
Yeah, there's a lot, and number one, thank you. But I've noticed that it goes in not only my best interest, but the best interest of who's buying from me, for me to explain exactly what's in a box, what's available, what you may want, what you may not want, and because a lot of people get confused about some of the things that are out there. Yeah. And so I just want to make sure you're not getting something you're not going to need. I don't want to upsell. This isn't McDonald's. I want to give you what you need. Yeah.
No, and it's great, and just all the different options you have and everything. It's a lot to take in, but it's what we need. I was so excited to see some of the options you had for your boxes.
Yeah, and some of them I'm still working the kinks out of. Yeah. They were supposed to have been ready before now, and those options are still, I didn't feel they were ready yet. Yeah. Even though everything I build, I'm not going to say we, what I build is experimental, and it's meant to be experimental, and so I guarantee nothing. So when you get it, it's for you to go experiment with it. But I want to at least get something to a point where you can experiment with it and then sell it to somebody. I don't want you to have to be working around with it trying to even get it to work to even start doing your experiments. So it's like any other tool. I'm basically trying to sell tools that somebody can use, and I want to broaden these and keep reaching out farther, and I've got some things in the works, to broaden them out farther for the entire investigation, which I've spoken about in my YouTube videos before, if anybody's ever watched any of them.
Definitely. I've been checking them out and loving what I'm seeing. And guys, also I put the link to Jay's website in the description, and after the show I'll put a link to his YouTube and his Facebook pages as well. But Jay, I wanted to ask, you've been doing this for over 30 years, right?
Well, I've been in the electrical field pretty much all my life. I mean, even as a kid, my uncles, I was free labor, so my uncles drug me to the job sites and put me to work as young as 10 or 12 years old. So I've been doing electrical. I just grew up in it. And then I was a generator tech in the Marine Corps, and it is just, I've gone back to school here and there and furthered my education. I'm retired now, but I was retired as a master electrician. I had my own company in Florida as an electrical contractor, and I also sold and serviced generators, which down south in the hurricane zone, I would stay pretty busy with that, but I could repair any generators. So after I retired, and I was still I've always been interested in paranormal. I wanted something to do and something I enjoyed, and this is just what I navigated to.
Wow. That's awesome. So what kind of like paranormal experiences, have you had many paranormal experiences yourself? Like, especially after you started working on these devices, or?
Well, especially after I started working on them. I had them when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. At least one of the houses that my grandmother had lived in was very active, and a lot of things there, strange things that happened that, looking back as an adult, remembering them from when I was a child, I was like, surely that didn't happen. But as I got older and started studying the paranormal, I'm like, well, maybe it did happen. Maybe those things that I experienced and seen, and other parts of my family experienced and seen, I guess maybe they really did happen, because other people are reporting the same kinds of things.
Yeah.
But especially since I started building equipment, I've had different things come through my boxes, things that were unexplainable. The investigations. I do remember an 8-day period after one investigation that wreaked havoc on my house. Mm-hmm. Electronics were going on and off by themselves all night long. The TV broke, the microwave broke. And remember, I'm a master electrician, so trust me, I went through every circuit in that house. There was nothing electrically wrong with that house. But after 8 days, and my entire family experienced it, including all the electronics breaking, it just quit. So I don't know if something followed me home from an investigation or what, but that was 8 days of roughness. I'm telling you, it was rough.
Wow. Yeah, and like you said, as a master electrician and someone who builds these devices, you can definitely tell when something's not normal. Especially with that many things going wrong in such a short amount of time. It's just like, that's no coincidence, I wouldn't think.
No, it just lasted 8 days, and then it was over with. Yeah. And if it was an electrical problem, it would persist until that electrical problem was resolved. So if it was a loose neutral or whatever, it would have resolved it's not going to resolve itself. It's a physical problem that someone has to go fix. Yeah. And then after 8 days, all occurrences ceased to happen, and that was it. Nothing else ever happened in that house. Nothing ever happened in that house before. Nothing ever happened in that house afterwards.
Wow.
Just those 8 days.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, when you started, getting involved with ITC and everything. What was it like back then at the start?
Well, I've told this story before, but when I first started getting into ITC, I didn't mean to get into ITC. Mm-hmm. I was looking at equipment, and people were playing with flashlights and this, that, and the other, and I was like, there's got to be a better way. I know what the environment's like. I know how to test the environment. There's got to be a way for me to build equipment that's more affordable, easier to carry, that we can monitor the environment in. Now, it's not going to be calibrated, of course. You can't use it in a hospital setting or anything like that, but it'll be close enough. So I got to looking into that, and somehow or another I ran across, let's see if I can get this right, I believe it was RTSC group, and it was a Yahoo Trek group.
Mm-hmm.
I got in there, Steve Halsey was in there, and the Purple Princess was in there. And I'm like, who in the wild world of sports is this Purple Princess, and why is he giving me so much crap? Well, come to find out later, it was Frank Sumption.
Yeah.
And Frank still never ceased to give me crap. Right up through all the years that I knew him, he never ceased to give me crap. But I respected him. I listened to what he had to say, and we had many, many long conversations in this Yahoo group, and I decided that that's what I was going to do. I was going to use the Ghost Box as a way to build an all-in-one device. So in 2010, I started trying to make an all-in-one device,
mm-hmm.
and it was going to be the intercom box. And that's how I got started, and it just kind of went from there.
Wow. For anyone in the chat that doesn't know, could you tell us a little bit just about Frank?
Frank. Oh, Frank did not believe you needed to go any farther than your kitchen table to speak to spirits. So that's where he was always on my case, that I was building this equipment for investigation sites, and he did not believe I should be building my ghost boxes, what he called the Swiss Army knife, and I later started calling them Swiss Army knives. Because he was like, you don't need to go anywhere, you're misleading people. I'm like, Frank, I'm not misleading people, I'm trying to give them options.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anybody who knows Frank is very opinionated, and his thing was, you just need to leave it alone, it's well enough, just build the ghost box. Just build the ghost box. And leave all that other stuff alone. All that ghost chasing is for the birds. So, and of course, Frank, he believed that he was being spoken to through his boxes by aliens, and I guess they're the ones that gave him the name Purple Princess,
mm-hmm.
Which was his moniker on the Yahoo chat group. But I tell you what, I got more invaluable information from him and Steve Halsey. I tell you, they really were open. Mm-hmm. They were open. They gave a lot of help when I was trying to get started on the hacks and stuff. And then eventually I was able to figure out some of my own hacks, and then eventually develop my own tuners, the tuners I have now.
Yeah.
But Frank was a character. There's no denying that. He was a character.
Yeah. Yeah, I never actually got to talk to him or anything, but you hear stories and everything, and of course I've heard about him from Tim Woolworth and.
Oh yeah, me and Tim are friends. I tell you what, Frank, you always knew where you stood with Frank, because he would tell you. He did not mind telling you.
Nice. Yeah, I guess that's a good quality.
He was a mentor.
Yeah.
He really was.
And like you said, Steve too. I've definitely asked Steve for some advice before, and he's always just told me and just been nice to me. So I like Steve.
Yeah, me and Steve have always got along. We share things back and forth all the time. I have nothing bad to say about Steve Halsey, myself personally, at all. That man's always treated me with respect, and I've treated him with respect. So
yeah. So once you started building your equipment, at one point you were kind of putting all these different components together from different equipment, right? To kind of start combining it.
Yeah, my thought was, why not build something that, because everybody had a millimeter over here, or they had that little orange flashy meter, and then they had a flashlight, and they were trying to get communication through a flashlight. Then they had the SB7, or they had this, or they had that, and they had 4 or 5 things laying on the table, and then they had, but maybe they did or did not have anything to reach humidity or temperature or whatever. And I was like, why can't I build something that's got an EMF detector? It's got what I call the IDC indicator, which detects changes in polarity in the atmosphere within the vicinity of the box.
Yeah.
So static will set it off, but any change in polarity will set those lights off. And I can add a laser grid, so you can see any movement. I can add a temperature and the humidity. All right, so why not put all of this in one device and focus your camera on it, or maybe 2 cameras from 2 different angles, whatever you want to do, but have it all right there so when something happens, it's in view, and we'll make it light.
Yep.
Now, you can still have your millimeters if you're wanting to actually see what, but most people don't look at the numbers. Let's be honest. They just look, oh, it went off. So I'm like, let's just do it with lights. Try to keep the noises to a minimum. I do have one for the EMF meter. But let's try to keep the noises to the minimum if we're doing an ITC device.
Yeah.
And let's just make it visual. And if you see the temperature spiked or dropped, whichever one, so something happened with the temperature, 2 of the lights went off, or 1 or 2 of the lights went off, something came through the box, and you've seen something across, break the laser grid all at one time.
Yeah.
Now, the odds of that happening are slim.
Definitely.
Now, do we have absolute evidence? No, we don't. But we have something to back up. Oh, I felt a cold spot. Oh, did you hear that? You have more than just I heard, I felt, I seen. Now you have multiple things to back it up, and you can build on that.
Yep. Yeah. I think that's awesome. And then, I haven't looked into it too much, but can you tell us a little bit about your video boxes?
The Paraview.
Yeah.
You think my other stuff is experimental. The Paraview is very experimental. Now, I got to say that Frank did the first one, and I didn't know it at the time that he had already done one. But Frank had already done a video box. I got the idea from watching that movie White Noise.
Yeah.
Now, if anybody's ever seen the movie White Noise, his living room, or whatever room it was filled up with a crap load of TVs. My thought was, what if I could make something portable that we could take out of our living room to an investigation site, and let's move ITC from audio to audio and video.
Yeah.
Now, it's experimental. I sell this as an experimental device. I don't say I have evidence. I don't say others have evidence, because evidence is subjectable. What I think is evidence, someone else may not. So I'm very careful of what I put out there on how I say things. But it is an experimental device that if somebody wants it, and I try to give enough ins and outs and jacks and peripherals on it that you can do various things with it, that you could change up the experiments and see what works for you, or what might work at a particular location. And hopefully get maybe an actual video contact.
Yeah. That's wild. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. So basically it's doing what a TV would do, so like a TV on static would do.
Well, yes. Now that's an LCD monitor, and you got to remember, we don't have cable TV no more like we used to.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's gone to digital.
Yep.
So you're not just going to go and pick up cable TV like you would with the white noise.
Exactly.
So I have to generate some white noise. So I generate the white noise. I've added in audio circuits. I've added in a microphone to the circuit. So when you're with a return speaker,
mm-hmm.
so everything is going through the video. I'm trying to get everything to go through the video circuit. Because what we're hoping is as the frequencies change, that you're going to make some kind of a contact on whatever level that might be, and create a contact point to where things start working. So I've tried to add everything I could think of without overwhelming the box,
mm-hmm.
and make it balanced.
Wow.
And it's basically a white noise video loop system is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's just continuously looping back and forth. Whatever it's picking up, it's putting it right back in, including your voice. If you ask a question, it's picking it up and it's putting it in. It's picking it up and it's putting it in.
And will you hear your voice come through the?
No.
So it's just going
as I have it right now at this point. The last one I sent to a gentleman in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
I have it to where if you were to put your ear right up to the speaker, you could actually hear your voice come through.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want it to overwhelm. I don't want your voice to be booming through the room.
Yeah.
Because now you're going to get an audio feedback loop that is just going to go on forever.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted it a light feedback loop from the microphone through and back through, and then fade off, and not actually build, but fade away. And that's a hard balance to come to. Believe me, it takes a lot of hours on the bench to get that balance, so it doesn't become a never-ending thing that just booms and booms and booms. And I don't know if you've ever heard that, but it sounds like it's never going to stop, and it gets louder and louder.
I know. I know exactly what you're talking about. I think we used to do it with put our cell phones up, put them on speakerphone, and put them next to each other, and it just starts getting louder and louder, and like going back and forth. Something similar to that, maybe.
And it's multiplying.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, running the mic through the circuit. So yeah, I can think about how tough this will be, because I've tried to just build one of the simple like radios from Hobby Lobby, and I failed at like 2 of those just because I've never really soldered before. But
well, I got to tell you, for every 4 boards I pick up, one of them gets completed, the other 3 get burnt.
Yeah.
And they go in the trash. Because everything I do is experimental. Now, once I get a box that's working good, then I'm okay. But as I'm experimenting and I'm trying to come up with a new device, I will burn through a lot of boards.
Mm-hmm.
Just burn them up, because the math seems right, but once you get to going, it just... And I'm not a mathematical wizard when it comes to electronics, but the math seemed right to me anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But it sure didn't work when I got it going. It just burned up. And I can tell you right now, every one of those boards come from the factory with a certain amount of smoke in them. And if you let that smoke out, they don't work no more.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you get one little thing wrong on there, it won't usually... It's shot, right?
Yeah, once you smell that smoke and see the smoke, she's done. She's finished. You move on to the next one.
So lots of love and care go into these devices.
Yes, a lot of work goes into these devices. They're not, and I'm never satisfied.
Yeah.
I'm never satisfied. I'm always striving for the next one. And even with the EMF detectors or anything else, I'm always striving to not only make it better,
mm-hmm.
but make it more aesthetically pleasing to the customer, because I think that's important too.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to say that aesthetically comes second to actually how it works. I would rather have it work right, and maybe not. Maybe the lines are off a little bit. It's not aesthetically, actually beautiful at the moment, and whatever. But it works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's my main objective: is to get something that works when I ship it out, so that somebody can start experiment with it, and hopefully catch something.
Nice. Yeah. So now you're at the current box is the IDC 2K series intercom.
Yeah, so I started those in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
2014. I had to take a little bit of a hiatus because of life, personal life.
I understand.
And just came back the end of 17. So I had about a 2-year hiatus there where I wasn't doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm just now getting back on board with the 2K series boxes. So I'm not as far along with a lot of the peripherals that I wanted for the 2K series box.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not as far along with those as I wanted to be at this point. I thought I'd have them complete. But those take a long time because they will actually hook to your computer. So there will be a computer program, and every sensor will come back to that computer program, and you'll be able to monitor everything on an investigation site, whether it be humidity, barometric pressure, temperature, EMF spikes, milligauss, everything.
Nice.
Milligauss, however you say it. Everything will come back and be time-stamped, and so you can go to your video and actually look at your program and see when you caught something on the video, what happened in that room at that time, temperature-wise, barometric pressure-wise.
Yeah.
You can correlate everything that way.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see that once you're so you have to kind of figure out how to do all that, huh? How to get it all together.
Well, I've already built quite a few of them, but the computer program itself is one of the hang-ups.
Mm-hmm.
Getting it all to work together and work the way it's supposed to. And I'm actually going to be getting some help with that because I would like the computer program to be more than just a program to monitor data. I wanted it to actually be a paranormal investigative program. Like I used to use Justin Timberlake's. I don't know if you remember or ever heard of Justin Timberlake. Not the singer.
Okay, I was like, from NSYNC?
No. He actually had a paratracker, and it was a paranormal software. Now, he only supported it for about 2 years, and then he backed off. But it was a paranormal software for doing paranormal investigations. It gave you a place to keep all your pictures, all your notes, all your interviews, all your background. Everything went into this thing, and it kept it in files for you.
Nice.
So you could pull up any given investigation that had you gave each investigation a number.
Yeah.
You could pull it up, and from there, here's a screen that shows you everything about that investigation. From when you started to when you finished, all your background, interviews, everything was there. Well, I want something like that, but with the data aspect.
Yeah. Nice.
So you can correlate everything together.
Yeah.
Now, I do not think that in my lifetime, I would like to see it happen in my lifetime, that all of this is going to come together and we get ironclad proof that just seals the deal. But I'm hoping that I leave something behind that's going to lead to that eventually.
Nice. And I mean, I think that alone is going to definitely be an awesome program to have, just like you said, to see if there were environmental changes like that at the same time. You heard a loud sound or you heard a disembodied voice or whatever might happen. So that. Yeah, and I wanted to. There was a lot of things in Justin Timberlake's that did work. There was it was Paratracker.
there was other things in Paratracker that didn't work as well. So I was hoping to, take what did work well. Of course, I've never seen the code for it, but take what did work well and then add what I thought would be better. And, of course, I'm going to have somebody do this for me because that's not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to have somebody do that for me, but I want it to work either standalone or with my sensors and devices.
Yeah, that would be perfect. Yeah, I can't even. That's not my thing either. And like I said, soldering and everything. I actually did manage to make a EM pump that worked. Like a little motor that just spins, and so that was kind of cool that I was able.
Yeah, and those actually work. I mean, it takes a lot to get them buffered so they don't make a lot of racket, but they will work.
Yeah. Mine is very loud, and but so for all your different choices, I mean, I know on my box I got the ion generator.
Yes, sir.
Have you experimented a lot with the negative ions? Because we've noticed we get pretty good results from experimenting with those.
Yes, I keep one to the side, and I'll turn it on, and I'll let it run for a little while, usually before I know I'm going to be turning a box on. Mm-hmm. And I have noticed a difference. Now, I can't put numbers to it, but to me personally, I've noticed a difference between when I'm using it and when I'm not. And me, what's weird where I'm at is I don't get a lot of reception. Yeah. I mean, even I'm talking to you on my home phone because even my cell phone just does not want to work out here. So when my boxes just start chattering away, I'm really listening. Because normally I can sit at my bench and not get nothing. And I'm going to tell you right now, Alex, it's hard to be a builder when you turn your radio on that you're building and nothing comes through and you think there's something wrong with it. But there's nothing wrong. You're just getting no reception. You're getting no communication. Mm-hmm. So that makes it difficult as a builder if you're building in the middle of Detroit. Yeah, you turn it on, it's probably going to blow your ears off. Yeah. But out here where I'm at, if I turn it on and I'm not hearing nothing, but I'm at least hearing noises, I'm like, okay, well, let's just wait a day or two. And then all of a sudden, I'll put that ion generator on for a little while, and then I'll turn it on, and lo and behold, there comes some voices. Yeah. But I can't explain it.
Yeah, man, it's wild stuff. And once I started really getting into it, like it just blows me away sometimes, like just the relevant responses and things that I get come through the boxes. And what are you're I know you're probably familiar with like the technicians and everything.
Yes.
Do you have anything like that you use, or do you have any specific?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I have two. I have one that's a technician, and then I have another one that's a smart aleck kid. And the smart aleck kid's been around since the very beginning of when I started building, and he never goes away. Wow. And I always know it's him because he cusses. Mm-hmm. And I know that we don't get cuss words on FM radio. We just don't. So I always know when he comes around because he starts calling me names. He drops the F-bomb. He calls me the C word, this, that, and the other, and it's always in a younger voice. Mm-hmm. But I do have a technician, but I don't know if it's one or two. I think I have a technician because sometimes it's a female voice, sometimes it's a male voice. Yeah. But that goes to the point where we don't know if it's their voices or if they're sometimes just using the voices that are on their airwaves already, or sometimes it's actually their voice on the white noise between the station. Yeah. Yeah. And it's very hard, and I've always wanted to be able to run me a program that would be able to pinpoint when a sound came through and pinpoint where it was on, let's say at the dial, where it was on the dial in megahertz.
Yeah.
And that would tell me, should I have even had a voice at that point on the dial or not.
Yep.
And that's another project I've wanted to work on, and I've started on, but I'm just one guy. I can only do so much. But
yeah.
If there was a way to be able to see that and actually freeze frame it or save it to an SD card where it would actually pinpoint those voices, but that's a little beyond my pay grade on figuring out how to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that would be insane. I know for me, like, I use the 12587 a lot, and there's definitely been times in those lower bands where I've gotten voices come through, there's been times too where I go back and check and try to see if there's anything on that station, and sometimes there's not. So
so that's the little one, right?
Yeah,
that's the little black one.
Yeah. And
I have one of those floating around. Well, I actually have a picture on my Facebook of all the little hacks and stuff I've got, and I've got one of those floating around somewhere. I liked it. I used to run that one with, what was that big one? The shortwave one.
I've got the 589. Is that it, or is it?
Is that the big one? I mean, it's huge, like a jam box.
This one's pretty big. It's like I mean, it's not as big as like a boom box or anything, but I'm trying to think. I mean,
12, 14 inches long by about 10 inches tall.
Yeah, probably about that, I'd say.
Yeah, okay.
The black.
I went down to Radio Shack, and this is how I come up with the idea for the dual tuner on the IDC devices. Was I had that big one, and I had that little 587, and I went down and got me a mixer. And I bought me a bunch of cables and all the adapters, and I ran them both through that mixer over to a speaker. And I was running them both at the same time. And I was like, well, this is awesome.
Yeah.
This is what I need to do this with my boxes. So I come up with the first dual tuner, which I believe my first dual tuner, I'd have to go back and look at Flickr, which is where I save all my pictures to Flickr. But
nice.
I believe it was a Daiwa. I hacked a Daiwa and I hacked a Jensen and ripped the guts out of them, wired them up together, and put them in a box.
Wow.
With dual speakers and another box that was actually screwed to the side of that box. And that was one of my first devices I ever built and sold as a dual tuner. And it was, I believe, a Daiwa and a Jensen, and I just ripped the guts out, put them in my device, and added the EM depth detector and some other stuff, and I was off and running from then.
Wow. That's awesome. And I like that you have the ability to do the random or linear scan, because you don't see a lot of random scan boxes.
No, I believe there are some guys, or at least one or two guys out there that are building random scans.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who they are or whatnot, but I've had the random scan since somewhere around 2013, 2014. No, it would have been 2014. I developed the random scan, and that's the one I prefer.
Yeah.
That's the one I actually sell the most of, is the random scan tuner.
Yeah, and so basically what that's doing for anyone listening, right, it's going through just a random radio frequency, right, so like instead of scanning through each band like it does on a regular radio, it's going through random ones.
Yes, normally your regular radio scan at either 100 or 200 kilohertz steps, which is, let's say you're at 100.1, and you scan, it goes to 100.2, and then 100.3. Well, each one of those is from 100.1 to 100.3 is 200 kilohertz steps. Now, what I do is I make it jump all over the board. So it may be at 101.1 and then go to 99.7 and then jump to 108.1, all over the board. But I also have the ability to change that. Now, it gets really staticky, but I can go all the way down to 10 kilohertz steps.
Wow. Yeah.
So normally most radios are 200 kilohertz. If I'm shipping them overseas, I go to 100 kilohertz. But I can go all the way down to 10 kilohertz. But here's the thing. When you go all the way down to 10 kilohertz, you are deep in the frequencies, and you're going to get a lot of white noise because you're not always hitting a frequency dead on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's say you're going randomly between 1 and 100. You can hit anywhere between 1 and 100. If you go randomly between 1 and 200, that's even more places it could hit. Well, when you drop it all the way down to 10, now you're looking randomly between 1 and 1,000.
Yeah.
So at this point, you could have 20 to 30 seconds of nothing but white noise because it just has not hit anywhere near an actual frequency unless a spirit's communicating with you.
Yeah.
Now, if a spirit is communicating with you on the white noise, you're going to have responses no matter what. But if you're looking for a radio that just is going to scan the FM band and look for the Ford commercials, then you want to stick with the 100 to 200.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking for anything in between, if you're thinking there might be something in the white noise, which, as you can tell, I do, I like more steps. I do like more steps. And there's times when I get a lot of responses, even on a 10 kilohertz step, I get a lot of responses.
And that'll be 10 kilohertz on a random scan.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, that's...
And I make it to where you like the one I sent Austin Maynard. He wanted it to be able to go fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I dropped it all the way down to 50 milliseconds. Most of my scanners, I max them out at 130 milliseconds is the max speed.
Mm-hmm.
And I start them at 1 second to 130 milliseconds. He wanted his to go fast, so I went from 1 second to 100 or down to 50 milliseconds. When you put that thing on 50 milliseconds, that means every 50 milliseconds, it's already hit another station.
Yeah.
So those numbers are confusing for some people. The faster that number, or the lower that number, the faster it's scanning.
Yep.
So if you went 1 second is fast, 2 seconds is faster, or slower, in other words.
I got you.
Are you with me?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
For sure.
So 50 milliseconds, that thing is flying.
Yeah.
But he's actually gotten responses even at the 50 milliseconds, which I don't recommend going that high. He normally keeps it, I'm estimating it at around 80 to 90 milliseconds, which is still faster than I've set most boxes. But it's flying. But he's got responses.
Yeah. No, that's wild. So in your opinion, whatever we are talking to, spirits or whatever it might be, do you think they mostly do use the white noise, or do you think that they can manipulate the radio fragments that come through? And what are your thoughts on all that?
Well, it's just my opinion, but I think that they can do both.
Yeah.
Because I've heard things from both. I've heard them from the white noise that were relevant, and I've heard things from the actual stations themselves picking up a broadcast signal, and those be relevant. So the thing is excuse me. The thing is, Alex, how do we always know? Because it's scanning so fast, and on most of these, we can't see that station, and we don't have stations memorized. How do we actually know when we hear a voice, was that broadcast or was that a voice?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're just guessing. If it sounds really clear, we're just guessing, that was broadcast, and they used broadcast. And if it was a little off, we're thinking, okay, well, that might have been, a direct radio voice.
Yeah.
So we don't really know. So I think it's both.
I agree with that totally, because I've noticed that as well, just doing sessions and everything. So
Now, I do make a DRV, a direct radio voice. Right now, there's only a couple of them out there, and I got to ship out 2 more of them because not many people want a DRV.
And now, what is that exactly?
A DRV is direct radio voice. I built a tuner, a device. It scans from 50 megahertz. Now, I want to go lower.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I'm capable of 50 megahertz to 130 megahertz. And it scans those frequencies, but it will not accept a broadcast signal.
Yeah.
It is pure white noise between 50 to 130 megahertz.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still trying to work on something. Now, JP is doing some stuff over there, and he's gotten lower, and he wants to go into the VLF, and I would like to get lower, too. Not JP. Had JP on my brain. I can't remember his name now.
I'm trying to
but
think.
Anyway, he's working on something like that too, and I really think that if we can get down to in the DRV down to 20, 30 hertz, just above the human voice range, then I think we want to start picking up a lot more. But right now I can do 30 to 50 to 130 megahertz. And it's just straight white noise is what it is.
Wow. And
Keith Clark is who I was talking about.
Keith Clark.
Keith Clark.
Nice. So with those devices, have you yourself caught some things come through?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have. I've sat here with my DRV running while I'm doing something else,
mm-hmm.
and I know it's not going to pick up a broadcast signal.
Yeah.
I mean, I have taken everything out of it so it cannot pick up. Not only did I program it so it can't, but I took the antenna circuit completely out. This thing should not pick up any kind of a broadcast, and I get things come out of it.
Wow.
But now let me say this, Alex. I was working on a Paraview one time,
mm-hmm.
and I had just a little Sony handheld voice recorder
mm-hmm.
hooked up to it, and I was doing recordings. When I would go back and listen to the recordings, I would pick up voices.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh man, I'm onto something. Now I was working on the Paraview. Eventually, I had to experiment, figure this out. I finally realized whenever I would pick that voice recorder up in my hand, I would get the voices
mm-hmm.
if I was holding it. So I went back and I listened to them on my computer. It was an AM station. When my voice recorder was in my hand, hooked up to that TV, I picked up an AM station.
Huh.
Now, that TV was not AM.
Yeah.
I sure as heck ain't AM. And a voice recorder isn't AM.
Yeah.
But I picked up an AM station. So that kind of, we have to be careful. I thought I was really onto something on that voice recorder, and turned out I was somehow picking up an AM station on a voice recorder.
That's so weird.
So when I say my DRV should not pick up a broadcast, I can tell you right now, a lint ball is liable to pick up a broadcast if you hook a speaker up to it. I mean, we can't rule anything out until we've ruled everything out.
Yeah. I've noticed sometimes when I'm using certain boxes, or if you touch the antenna or you even touch the box, and more stuff starts coming through sometimes, like just radio in general. Do you know why that is?
Well, you got to figure our body is, mainly made up of salt water.
Mm-hmm.
And we have some huge cavities of water in our body. Our chest is one huge cavity. Our head is another huge cavity. And that's actually how I created my Direct Link. My Direct Link is a handheld device.
Mm-hmm.
It is a ghost box, and I have a little copper plate on the side that you lay your finger against.
Nice.
If you hold that that near your head or your chest, it's almost like a walkie-talkie.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get it closer to your body, there's no antenna on this thing. You are the antenna.
Yeah.
So the moment you lay your finger, you become the antenna. It's almost like when we were kids and your mom would, well, I don't know how old you are, but if your mom said, go over there and move those rabbit ears, and you moved them, and she's like, whoa, 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 right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm showing my age at the moment, but she says right there, and you let go, and she loses her soap opera, and your mom tells you, grab hold of that rabbit ear. And you got to stand there while your mom will watch soap operas because you are now the antenna.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, our bodies with our salt water, we are very good receptors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's where my direct link comes from, and I still build and sell the direct links. And
nice.
I tell you what, Bill Hauser has one, and he does very well with his.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. I'm definitely impressed.
Now, he
with it.
used his over in the Philippines, and it was on a national television show in the Philippines.
Nice.
And he did very well with the direct link over there. And it was actually getting, and now I'm not going to speak for Bill, but it was getting, I guess there's an older dialect language in the Philippines that you normally would not find on any kind of a broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got to a certain part of the area where they were at, in an older area, he started getting those dialects coming through because he had a translator.
Mm-hmm.
And those dialects were coming through on the direct link, and even the translator said those dialects should not be on broadcast. That's an older language.
That's insane.
So that was really, really awesome when Bill got back from the Philippines and told me about it. I was, or was it Thailand? No, it was Philippines. And when he got back, he was very excited about it, and so was I, because to catch a language that's really normally not spoken on broadcast, that was really cool.
Yeah, that's wild. What would be some of like your favorite captures that you've gotten? I
really don't share them, because they're all susceptible to the listener.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have had other people who are not into the paranormal listen, and they don't always hear the same thing I hear.
Yeah.
So I'm very leery about putting things out there. For me personally, I don't mind other people putting them out there from my boxes.
Yeah.
And saying this is what I heard, but I normally don't do it. But I guess my biggest is the kid.
Yeah.
That kid dog cussing me every now and then. That's my biggest ones. And there was this, when I was first building these boxes, and I've told this story before, but I was building them out in a little building behind my house, and the lady next door, she was setting out on her, we had we were in base housing.
Mm-hmm.
So they were kind of like a cul-de-sac. So her backyard kind of faced mine cat-a-corner, and she was sitting at her picnic table. Well, after about an hour, she comes around the corner, and she says, who you're talking to is not for you. That's for me.
Wow.
And I just froze, and I looked at her, because at first I didn't know what she was talking about. It just kind of, because I thought I was alone, for one.
Yeah.
Out here talking to myself in my little man hut here. She, come to find out, long story short, her brother-in-law had passed away the day before. And she said those messages were for her to give to her sister.
Wow.
Now, I had no idea about her brother-in-law or any of this, but she did. And she could hear it through my open door playing across her backyard. And she come around, and of course, she was, you could tell that it affected her. It affected her a great deal. But she said those messages weren't for me. Those messages were for her to give to her sister. And she did.
Wow.
And that was early on, and that's when I knew I was onto something with the devices I was building. For that to happen out of the blue like that, I mean, just in the middle of broad daylight now.
Yeah.
And that goes back to what Frank was saying. You don't have to go anywhere. They can come to you.
Mm-hmm.
So Frank was right. This happened in broad daylight in the middle of the week.
Yeah, seriously. That's awesome. One quick question about the direct link. You said it's got a copper plate, right?
Well, I try to use copper.
Yeah.
When I can find the right pieces of copper, but I will use aluminum. Any non-ferrous metal will work, but I need something that's a little bit flexible because it's not so much you're laying your finger on it as you need to put pressure to bring it in contact and make connection.
I see, yeah.
So, because if I actually made that piece of copper connect, it is now itself acting as an antenna.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I did that, when you laid your finger on it, it would intensify the antenna.
Yeah.
But by using a non-ferrous metal that's flexible, it allows me to have it in an open contact. So when you lay your thumb on it and then push it, it makes a direct contact, a direct link to your reception. So that's where I come up with direct link. You need to make a direct contact between your body and the reception of the tuner itself. So I need something that's flexible.
Nice.
So when you let go of it, you have no reception. You should have very little to none reception at all because you've disconnected the circuit.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to get one of those someday, definitely, because I've been interested in something like that. Awesome. Well, before we close it out, was there anything else you wanted to bring up, and also tell us a little bit about the future for IDC?
Well, as far as the future goes, I hope to keep coming up with maybe, of course, new and better ideas. That's neither, that's easily said. I want to make what I'm already doing better and better craftsmanship. I want to make them more sturdy. I want to make them more dependable. Not just dependable as in working, but more reliable as far as being able to make sure that each time you get a result, it should be the same result. So, because I'm looking at this, trying to look at everything in a scientific mind, that if you can't maintain your parameters when you're setting up an experiment, not just investigations, but an experiment, you need to be able to control the parameters and make it always the same every single time. So then you can start producing data.
Mm-hmm.
So, but at the same time, there's a lot of people that don't really care for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I still need to build devices that people do want, because, to be honest, that's where I get the money to build and experiment with these devices that I do want to build, so I can offer them to the few people who do want them.
For sure.
And I enjoy building those devices. I don't want to build something I don't enjoy building.
Yeah.
So I'm still building devices that I enjoy building. Don't get me wrong. But there's so much more I want to do, and I just need to keep working at it, because I'm a one guy building this in my little building out back.
Mm-hmm.
Limited funds, no corporate backing. I'm just doing what I'm doing and going to work at my pace, and whatever mark I leave when I leave here. That's my thing, is hopefully something I build worked somewhere along the lines as somebody was able to start getting data with it, something that was going to add up to something in the future to give us, to get us where we want to be, which is proving contact and being able to make consistent contact.
Yeah. Definitely. I think that's awesome, man. Can't wait to see what all comes in the future, and also I'm excited to get my box and start taking it everywhere. It's
well, I enjoy building them. I do enjoy building them.
Yeah, Yeah, you can tell. I mean, that's one thing I noticed. You know, when I first talked to you, you can tell that you love doing this. You're very serious about doing this, and definitely everyone who I've talked to who has one of your devices, you know, always good things. And like just now in the chat, Justin Spurrier said that he's gotten absolutely amazing things from the direct link. So
yes, he Justin. Oh, I wasn't watching chat. He actually has my prototype.
Really?
Yeah. If you're listening, Justin, you got my prototype, baby. No, I love Justin. He's awesome. Me and him have worked together a lot, and he's a great guy. He takes my equipment and he works it. I mean, he works it. And that's what I want to see. I want somebody to take my equipment and work it. And if something don't hold up, let me know. Let's get it fixed and keep working it, because that's what it's going to take. You know, just keep working it. And Justin does.
Nice. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be using mine as much as possible, because I've never used a random scan box. And, yeah, I'm just...
Well, yours has the random scan and the linear.
Yep.
And you actually have two different speeds on yours between the random and the linear. And they're both variables. So you're going to be able to, you know, speed one up, slow one down, whatever you want to do, play them both at the same time, one at a time. And actually on yours, because I had worked out the pre-effects and the post-effects, and I hadn't had a chance to tell you, but I can tell you right now, Alex, you're going to get both jacks for the pre-effects and the post-effects. Meaning one jack, and they'll be labeled, one jack, if you were to, it could be an input or an output, but it's before the echo reverb.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you hook up your recorder to it, to the one that's pre-effects, and then you play the box. What you're going to hear through the box, the speaker, is the echo and reverb if you've got it turned on. But what your recorder's going to record is actually without the echo reverb.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were having a videotape going, you could actually compare the audio between the two.
Wow.
But you're also going to have a post-effects jack that's an in or an out, because I put in a passive equalizer in there. And what's going to happen is on the post-effects, anything that comes out of that one is going to be echo. So actually you could hook up two recorders, one to each jack, and one's going to record it with the echo, one's going to record it without the echo.
Wow. Yeah.
But they're both in and out jacks. So the first one that's pre-effects, if you were to play another ghost box through mine, you could actually use my echo, and it would come out that speaker. Or if you put it in the top speaker, the top hole, which would be the post effects, and plug it in, it would bypass the echo, and it would just play through the speaker.
That's insane.
So I've added that to your box for you being so patient to me, and I got this really worked out pretty good on some of the other ones. I was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and add it to Alex's, and because I like these options, because it just, to me, if I can give you more things to work with so you can experiment, then the more the better. So now you have several different options when you can grab as many recorders as you want and a video camera and record 3 ways from Sunday and compare it all together.
That's insane. I can't wait to test that out and see what I can find with that, because could find some if there are changes in there, then that's going to be pretty awesome stuff to collect.
Yeah. I mean, if you could, who knows what you're going to pick up?
Yeah.
When you start running those side by side in something like Audacity.
Yep.
You know.
Put it all together, listen to it through, and see if there's any changes, and that's going to be awesome, man. And then also, what was I going to say? I can't remember what I was going to say, but I was also interested in So with putting the mic in the circuit board, you can do that with your boxes as well.
Yes, I have actually a gentleman, Gilbert. He's ordered 2 of my boxes, and also the gentleman from Germany, he always orders them with the microphones. Some guys read through my website and find the microphone. Some guys don't. But yes, I do offer the microphone version. Now, it's not a removable microphone. It is mounted in the device itself.
Yeah.
So it will pick it up, but it has to be very balanced so you don't get that feedback.
Yeah.
Now, I have thought about coming up with a removable mic, but you can still get feedback just as easily from the removable mic as you could the other one. So I try to balance it on the mixer to where you're not going to get the feedback, but your voice will feed through it. But it's not going to be loud.
Mm-hmm.
You should pick up your voice on a voice recorder, but you're not going to pick up your voice really above what's already going through the box. All I'm doing with the microphone is I'm doing it to where your voice is being added to the circuit.
Yeah.
Now, because you already know what you asked, so you don't really need to hear what you asked.
Exactly.
But your voice recorder should pick up what the question you asked anyway.
Exactly.
But I don't want it so loud that it's now overwhelming any communications, because you just asked it, and now it's coming back to you. What you just said, what you know what you just said,
mm-hmm.
and it's overwhelming the communication. So I'm very, very concerned about keeping that balanced.
Wow.
But I do offer that option, yes. And the next one I'm doing is now going to have a volume control. So if
Nice.
you're one of those guys that want to hear yourself, I guess you could kick the volume up. So, but that's new. I'm still working with that one with the volume control.
Nice.
I don't know when that was going to be available. But if you want to do karaoke, we'll have a volume control, and you can do karaoke if you want.
And so you
Because
said,
I'm going to have it to where it'll go through the echo or out, or because I already have them to where they'll go through the echo.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
But with adding the volume control, I guess you could use it as a karaoke box too if you wanted to.
Yeah. And you did say with the input, you would be able to technically plug in another ghost box, and you can run that through the echo as well.
Yes, if you put it on, and they'll be labeled,
Yeah.
but if you put it on the pre-effects,
mm-hmm.
what I call the IDC effects, because my IDC effects is a little different than some of the other ones that are out there, because I have both echo and reverb, and I try to give you the ability to control the decay. In other words, how fast it decays.
Mm-hmm.
The echo can decay quickly or it can decay slowly. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Because some people don't realize that you can actually, an echo can be fast or an echo can be slow.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to give enough control that you can control that. Now that's still in the works. There's only been one box built with that. And actually Justin's got that one. Justin's got that one. That's the one that was on Ghost Hunters.
Nice.
On the Halloween special.
Wow.
But it was sitting in the demon room and it didn't get used. So, but you can see it sitting there. So, I can say it was seen on Ghost Hunters.
I remember seeing that Justin was there, but he didn't get any airtime or something, right?
No, he didn't. My devices did, but he didn't.
What?
Aaron had my direct link in the basement with the witch.
Yeah.
And actually, at one point when Josh Gates is talking, and there's this thump, 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 thump as they cut to the control room, that was my direct link because Aaron had it too close to his body mic, and it drowned out the guy in the control room for a few seconds until somebody cut off Aaron's body mic. But if you look at the lower left corner of the screen, at the video screen, he had my direct link down in the basement with the witch, and he was using my direct link, and that's what was overrunning the control room was one of my devices. I'm like, great, my devices finally make national television, and it breaks their control room.
That's hilarious. Wow. Well, that's awesome, man. Well, before we wrap it up, if you will quickly just tell everyone, where they can find your stuff. Like I said, I got the link in the description, but I like to let you just kind of tell them how they can find it as well.
Yeah, you can look me up, Jay Prather on Facebook, IDC Devices on Facebook, IDCDevices.com is my website. I also have IDC Devices videos and reviews. So if you look up anything IDC Devices on Facebook, you're going to come up with some options, as well as I'm on Flickr, but when you go to my website, idcdevices.com, any of my links are right there on that front page. So from there, you can see my Flickr, you can see my YouTube, you can see any of that.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on and talking, man. I know I learned a lot, and man, just all the stuff you're doing is just so awesome, man. It's impressive.
Hey, Alex, I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on, and I enjoyed it. And I look forward to doing this for many, many more years. So keep looking for my devices to hopefully get better, but at least keep going with what I got going.
Yeah, man. I can't wait to get mine and start doing a bunch of sessions with it, and also continue. I'm going to be promoting your stuff as well once I get it. So. Definitely.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing what you catch.
Yeah.
And how it works for you.
Well, thank you, man. Well, have a great night, and try not to get too cold up there in Maine. I know it's probably freezing.
Yeah, it's a little cool already. I can tell you that.
Well, have a safe winter, man.
All right, Alex. I appreciate it, bud, and I'll talk to you later.
All right, man. Have a good night.
All right. Good night.
All right.
Bye.
All right, everyone. That was J.W. Prather. Definitely I would consider him a legend. Yeah, honestly. ITC legend, Jay Prather. IDCdevices.com. And like I said, guys, I ordered mine, and I cannot wait to get it. I went with the random and linear sweep, which, most of you guys probably know. A radio is going to have the linear sweep, so he does the random, which we talked about earlier. And then I got the ion generator as well, and he's got so many other choices you can make for like exactly how you want your box. So it's just awesome. Definitely custom, and I like too. Like I said, when I called him the first night we talked, he kind of talked about, talked me through everything, kind of explained to me how everything worked. He's really easy to work with, and that's a great quality that he has. So if you are in the need of a ghost box, a new box, or just if you're wanting something next level, definitely hit him up on Facebook. Give him a call, and you won't be disappointed. So, can't wait to see what we get with my box when we get it. So anyway, guys, I hope that everyone has a great weekend. We will be freezing our butts off in Ohio, and it's going to be fun. You know I love a good cold investigation. There's nothing like it. I actually prefer the cold, to be honest. Once you get moving around and everything, it's really not so bad. Also, living in Alabama, we have very hot summers, so it's kind of nice to freeze all night every once in a while. And it's going to bring back memories of last year's investigations when me and Eric were at, we did Old South Pittsburgh, we did Hales Bar in January, and we did several in March when it was still very cold, but it was awesome. And I lived for it. I lived for the adventures. Just last night I was out in the woods. It was a little chilly, but it was awesome. And I love how, I don't know, there's something creepier about when it's cold or something. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes the fog sets in. Sometimes it's just creepier. I don't know what it is. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys have a great night. I will try to get in some live streams before I leave. Like I said, I won't be able to live stream where I'm at this weekend, and I probably won't be very active on social media or anything. But I will do my best. I should have some videos coming out before then. I'm actually working on Old South Pittsburgh Part 8, which, it was filmed earlier this year, but I've still been going through the footage. It's just hours of footage everywhere I go, so it's just sometimes it takes a while. But I will be having that come out, and several other videos as well, so be on the lookout for that. We will get a live stream in as well before I leave, and I look forward to seeing you guys real soon. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. A huge thanks to J.W. Prather for coming on of IDC Devices, and I'll see you guys next time. And do a ghost box session for me tonight. Do a ghost box session. All right, peace.